I'm pretty happy with this device from Powkiddy. It feels super cheap, but it's actually pretty good, at a decent price point. I think that this is a pretty good buy, and today I will tell you exactly why. So introducing the Powkiddy RK2023. So let's dive right in. The exterior design consists of plastic, and this is a very cheap feeling device in my opinion. It's lightweight, and the matte texture to it does not feel very pleasant to touch in my opinion. When holding it, it does feel like holding a toy, so this already isn't the device for me, and I would like to make that clear right now. But there are a lot of other things about it that I do like, and I would like to share those in this video too. On the front, you're going to find the buttons with a Nintendo layout, and the thumbsticks will be at the bottom, which is pretty nice. On the top, you are going to find your shoulder buttons, volume controls, mini HDMI, reset button, and sleep wake button. On the bottom, you're going to find stereo speakers, 2 USB-C ports, double micro SD card slots, and a headphone jack. Overall, I think this device is pretty loaded when it comes to the I/O. So the buttons do feel pretty good, and I think a lot of people will like these buttons. They feel great to press, and the D-pad feels pretty good too, with lots of travel here. The shoulder buttons are super clicky if you're into that. I know that I personally am. The thumbsticks are the same as they are on the Switch, so they aren't amazing, but they get the job done, and they do press down for R3 and L3, which is great. Now, I do wish that there was some grip to this device around the back, as it is completely flat, so it's not a very comfortable device to hold, but overall, it's fine. It's pocketable, and it is pretty compact. It's going to be a compact solution that works as it has been designed. This device features a 3.5-inch 640 by 480 IPS display that looks pretty good. I don't have any complaints about how games look on this display, except that PSP games are obviously not going to look their best because of the aspect ratio of the screen. So this is definitely better suited for systems that play their games at 4:3. This is not my preference, as I would rather have a 16:9 screen and just stretch out my games, but that's just me. If you're looking for a solid 4:3 experience, then this display will deliver for sure. I think they did a pretty great job with this screen. Now, the viewing angles kind of suck on it, but I mean, to me, I'm going to look at it straight on regardless, so it probably doesn't really matter. Now, the speakers on this device are actually pretty solid here too. They get pretty loud, and they actually sound pretty good. I was genuinely impressed as they handle the speakers here really well. I have no complaints for a device like this, so have a listen. When it comes to specs, this device features an RK3566 chip, so it is a little bit upgraded from the previous iteration, but really not by much. It has 1GB of RAM, and it features a 16GB micro SD card for the OS and a separate 64GB micro SD card for games, so this is pretty much everything you get with this device. So the OS on this device is super simple. It features a pretty simple UI that is nice to look at and easy to navigate. It seems to be running under Linux, and it works pretty nicely here too. You get a bunch of systems to choose from to play as well, and this unit did come with a ton of games as well. So there is a lot to explore here, but you should know that this is not running on Android, so while it isn't as directly customizable, it is an interface that is aimed towards ease of use. Now let's get into SNES performance first before touching on some other systems. So this is going to be running on RetroArch. Every emulator here is. So let's begin with Final Fantasy IV. This game ran beautifully on this device, but it is pretty difficult to come across any device nowadays that will botch SNES performance. It's just a very low-powered, easy system to emulate, so I wouldn't give it much thought, if any at all, really. Either way, SNES looks really good on this machine, and I think anyone that gets this for SNES will have a really good time. It looks really sharp, and it all runs really smoothly, as it all should. Keeping that in mind, this is just a really good SNES machine. Now, let's move on for some other genres. N64 performance will not be perfect here on this chipset. I actually tested out Mortal Kombat 4 and had some minor stutters here and there. I mean, judging from my experience with other systems that featured this chipset, I can definitely tell you that this chip is not well optimized for N64, but for some games, you should get pretty close to full speed most of the time, so that is worth noting. Games like Ocarina of Time and Mario 64 will run mostly fine, but still will exhibit some stutters and performance issues, so I would just make sure to keep my expectations in check. When it comes to Dreamcast performance, it won't always be that great either. With Sonic Adventure 2, the game will be playable, but there are going to be some noticeable slowdowns here and there, and the audio will definitely take a hit too, so keep that in mind. This chip will come with its limitations, which is worth considering when looking over Dreamcast performance. From what I have noticed, performance is definitely doable, but it's not going to be that ideal of an experience for a lot of people because of those slowdowns. So I wouldn't get this if you wanted a Dreamcast machine, because this one just isn't it. Performance in the PlayStation 1 is pretty solid for the most part. I tested out Tekken 3 and I had no complaints about the performance here. It ran pretty smoothly in the fighting game with better graphics than Mortal Kombat 4 and honestly, even greater camera movement. I think PlayStation 1 is a solid system to get this device for, especially considering how well everything ran here. There were a few other games that also gave me good results, and the fact that there is such a great library for the PlayStation 1, I think this is just a super solid system to get for PlayStation 1 emulation. Performance in PSP was also pretty solid, and that was the case with games like Dissidia and even Naruto games that I tested on this. However, I can guarantee you that something like God of War will perform rather poorly on this chipset. I wouldn't get this for PSP only, but it certainly helps that most games are totally playable, so keep that in mind. In Dissidia, I did experience some performance issues, mostly stuttering, some frame dipping, and especially when it came to special abilities, it was definitely dropping in frames, and even some sound issues. So I would not get this exclusively for PSP either, and the screen's aspect ratio doesn't help things here at all. Performance won't always be so great with this, but for the most part, I didn't have too many problems. However, this is definitely not a great machine for PSP if that's what you were looking for. So battery life is stated to be around 8 hours, but I get closer to 4 hours of use. Mind you, this is still pretty good, but it isn't anywhere near the 8-hour mark that Powkiddy touts on their website. 4 hours on average is what you should expect. Nothing more, but definitely still less if anything. In conclusion, this handheld is honestly pretty good. For the current sale price of $89, I think this is a pretty decent value for everything that you get. It won't be ideal for the higher end systems like Dreamcast and PSP, but it will still get the job done for the most part. This is a pretty neat handheld at a pretty budget price, but it could be cheaper to be honest. $89 is the absolute most that I would pay for this experience, but at least it is priced within those means, which does grant it a recommendation from me. I wouldn't consider this an upgrade to anything in particular, so only get this if it's your first retro handheld. Now, do keep in mind something important here, and it's that I would not pay more than the $89 that I mentioned at all for this system, because the build of materials and the performance just aren't going to justify it, and there are going to be better options at that price point. But if $89 and below is where you're looking at, this is not a bad machine to look at whatsoever. So yeah, I can recommend it. So thank you so much for watching this video all the way up until the very end. I do appreciate that a lot. And also, I am going to be leaving affiliate links to Powkiddy's website down below. So if you use my links, you would be helping out the channel quite a bit. So I would appreciate that quite a bit, because it does make it easier for me to buy more review units and things like that. So links to everything down below. And also, I do happen to be on Instagram, so you can follow me there. And I stream on Twitch more rarely as of recently, but again, it is because of grad school. So once grad school is taken care of, I will be on there more often. But with that said, this has been Francisco from Tech Summit. Thank you for watching. Hoping to do a review on the Anbernic 405M pretty soon. So until then, have a good one and enjoy.